I suggest with tremendous respect that that is the use of hyperbole. This election was conducted as most international observers observed. It was the fairest. All observers came back with one conclusion. This was an open, transparent election. Was it a perfect election? No, because there is nothing like a perfect election. This is an election conducted by human beings, and there are human errors within the electoral process. Were the few errors that are admitted by IEBC of a magnitude to allow this court to set aside the election? It is our humble submission that the answer is no. It has not been demonstrated, and my learned friend, Mr. Abdi Kadir, will deal with that matter. Let me point out to you, my lords, that this is one of the few petitions that this court has seen that is full of generalities, innuendos, hypothecations. Yeah. We believe there was one counsel who repeated several times, our theory is, our take is, our understanding is, not evidence, nothing of probative value, speculation, generalization. It is our very humble submission that, framed in those general speculative terms, lacking clear, cogent, probable evidence, these petitions lack merit. It is made worse, my ladies and my lords, by the fact that the petitions make grave allegations of a criminal nature: fraud, tampering with election materials and results, conspiracy to unlawfully influence an election outcome, and even implied treason. Implied treason. All that without a shred of evidence. All that without a shred of evidence, especially as it relates to the Honorable Chebukati, the chairman of the commission. The vilification against this gentleman goes beyond anything we have ever had before in this courthouse. It was personalized, it was vindictive, it intended to lower his standing in our community and within the legal profession. It was unwarranted. I have had occasion again to defend Mr. Chebukati, although he was not my client. I was in a different office. But I recall mentioning in 2017, before your lordships, that this gentleman was being vilified for doing exactly what the minor Kiai court told him to do. It told him, don't touch the results coming out of the polling station. That is the final result. We then came here to this court, and he was called all manner of names at that time. This has not stopped. What should we learn from this? We should learn one thing, and it is a very unhappy lesson. The attack on the chairpersons of the commission has a long history. There was Justice Zacchaeus Chesoni, there was Samuel Kivuitu, there was Isaac Hassan, and now there is Chebukati. The pattern is the same. The pattern is the same. None of them has been allowed to leave office without vilification and a vindictive process being engineered against them. I don't want to go to the details because we all know the details. We remember the details. So what is wrong? There is nothing wrong with IEBC. There is nothing wrong with Wafula Chebukati. There is something very wrong. There is something very wrong in the way the persons who participate in the electoral process accept winning or losing. That's the problem. At an appropriate time, when all this is over, I entertain no doubt that an independent group of people looking at the work that Mr. Wafula Chebukati has done for our nation will recognize him as one of our outstanding heroes in the history of our nation. Thirdly, I want to say that the evidentiary material, which will be addressed by my colleagues, is of such a character that it falls way below the standard you set in petition number 1 of 2017. And since I don't want to take too much time, I'll leave that for that purpose. To return to this issue, that this court, in our very humble view, needs, and I am very sure from the questions the court has asked so far, that the court appreciates very deeply, and that any order has consequences, and those consequences must be consequences that can be contained in our democratic and constitutional process. The Supreme Court cannot act in vain. It cannot act so as that the judgment should read like a learned legal article. The Supreme Court always acts so that it can defend democracy and the rule of law and constitutionalism in a practical and enforceable way. So if this election is so badly flawed as you are invited to find, then this court would have to find that every MCA, every MP, and every senator, and every governor was not properly elected, and the whole of the government of the Republic of Kenya should be reconstituted afresh. I don't know whether my learned colleagues have contemplated the consequence of what they have requested. My client, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, is a man who enjoys constitutional protection of his tenure. Why did the Constitution protect him? And not him alone, the chairman of independent commissions, for precisely this form of witch hunting. The Constitution cannot countenance that a constitutional office holder is to be witch hunted in the manner suggested here. That he walked out of his office and took the phone many times, then came down and sat down and did not consult the people who were having tea. A whole lot of irrelevant material that cannot be the basis of interfering with the independence in section 163 of Mr. Wafula Chebukati. It is said that he should be removed from office and forbidden from ever holding public office. And I want to ask my learned colleagues for the petitioners, is that really a serious submission when the Constitution itself contains complex processes of the removal of a person? He is now to be removed here by reference to affidavits of hearsay on the back of hearsay? I do not think it is a serious submission, and I invite my lords not to act on it at all. Two final points before I invite my learned colleagues. My very able senior learned friend, Paul Muigai, said that the commission is the majority of the commissioners. That cannot be a meaning of the commission that arises from the Constitution. The Constitution contemplates that the word commission will be used in multiple senses. The returning officer, when he makes a declaration, is the commission. The officers of the commission, when they procure, let us take procurement. When the procurement process is done by officers of the commission, that is the commission. When the chairman declares the presidential vote, he is the commission. There are multiple senses in which the Constitution uses the commission. It does not intend that the commission is to be used as sitting in plenary and voting, because very little of the commission's work involves voting. I believe that if we cure that misunderstanding of the commission, the rest will follow. It will be quite clear that Wafula Chebukati was acting as the commission in the manner defined by the Constitution at that point. Because it is a body corporate, and that has already been spoken to. Let us come to this last point about how did the commission break apart? Again, I don't want to belabor this point because the learned court itself has raised this issue. We have an election conducted up to the 11th and a half hour, and everybody is on board. Everybody is on board. The public can see them declaring the results. What is this that happens within the half hour? The affidavits speak for itself, for themselves rather. And my learned colleague will take you into the detail. The affidavit speaks to themselves. There is a concerted effort. There is a concerted effort, external, to ensure that the process comes to an end without a declaration. So the sanctimonious, self-righteous, pompous pontification of the so-called four commissioners are an afterthought. They are a complete and total afterthought.